Hello, hello. We will get started in just a minute. Thanks for being here. Okay, everyone. Thank you for being here today. We greatly appreciate it. I have my very glary glasses on today. Actually, let me see if I can switch to make it a little bit easier. We are recording today, and I just want to make sure if you could let me know in the chat box or emoji that you can hear me okay and see my slides as well. That would be fantastic. I just want to make sure all of the technology is working. You know how that goes. So I am sharing my slides. We are going to be recording. And if you take a look at and locate the chat box too, you will see that we will send you the slides as well as the recording via email automatically when we're finished today as well. So we're here today to talk about 3 steps to landing a job you love in 2026, which still sounds like a space odyssey to me. And also, I know a lot of us out there are just ready for this past year to be over because it was stressful for so many people and just so many ups and downs. So we're going to focus on the future today. And we are co-hosted by Georgia State. So we welcome Georgia State alumni as well as friends, so to speak, or clients and friends of my company, Create Your Career Path. So just by way of really quick introduction, I'm a certified career coach and have been coaching and training since 2002. So my gray hair up here, I'm able to cover some of it just a little bit because there's not too much yet. So since 2002, Vanderbilt undergrad, and very excited about their football team this year, and University of Illinois master's degree from there. Lived in Chicago actually for several years. And we have a fantastic team of certified career coaches and resume writers who provide our individual coaching services for us. I lead the organization, host complimentary webinars like this, etc. And what I would like to suggest for you today, because in this next half hour, give or take, up until 12:30, I do try to give a lot of helpful information that I'd recommend you choose one action step that makes the most sense for you and your current situation. Where are you with finding a job that you enjoy in the new year? Because you can pick one thing so that you don't feel overwhelmed, that you can really commit to. And as I said earlier, you can revisit the slides and the recording later. So just take a look out or be on the lookout in your email because you'll get all of that material in your email afterwards. So here's the deal with job satisfaction. Not just including this past year with everything that has gone on, which has been incredibly stressful for people as we've tried to support them during these crazy times. But the way we've worked has changed even despite or in addition to all of that with AI, with the way that we work, whether it's remote, whether it's hybrid, back to in person, we've kind of shifted yet again. Skills-based hiring is expanding that much more across industries, and being able to demonstrate that you understand the use of technology, how to use AI to do a better job and be more efficient with your work is also important. And what we find and still find with our clients, but I think even more so, that people want, if you look at the bottom of this slide, that people really still want that sense of meaning, growth, and stability. Now, I will say that stability, understandably, has become more of a priority given everything that's gone on in the workplace this past year. But that fulfillment piece is still always so important because you can only stay somewhere for so long that is not a fit for you before you're about to run out the door. And you can't do it. It becomes like toxic in some cases for some people over time. So what we're going to be talking about today to help you with this and finding not just a job in the new year, but a new job or a career path that really works for you and finding something that is a fit and you truly enjoy. And this doesn't mean that you have to compromise your financial stability and all of that, because we're going to talk about that today, but finding something that really works for you. So step number one, we'll talk about direction and making sure that you're really identifying opportunities that are going to be a good fit for you, using this concept of what's fulfilling and rewarding and our ideal career model. Step number two on this next slide is how to brainstorm ideas and see what else is out there. And step number three is branding and starting that job search. The first thing to do with job search is to start to brand yourself before you begin to put yourself out there. So do me a favor and please locate the chat box so that you know where that is, because I am going to put some resources and recommendations in there over time. And if you can't hear me or see my slides, please in the chat box, let me know. As a quick reminder, we don't do polls or Q&A during these free webinars to maximize our time. And you can feel free to schedule a quick discounted one-time session with us anytime you'd like to. So you can use the QR code there for that. Actually, sorry, there's not a QR code for that. I put it in the chat box instead. So if you want to get any questions answered from today, we are really good at doing like 30-minute sessions with people, and you can just fire away and we figure out and know how to answer things really quickly for you. If you come to it with a list of questions, or if you need to think deeper about certain things, happy to do that as well. So why is job satisfaction important and being in the right fit? I think we all know, given the past year, too many people are not engaged. We were focused mostly this year, I think, on understandably just job stability, like staying where you were, if you could, and then finding something quickly for that financial stability. And why long-term satisfaction, though, and fit is still really important is because our jobs impact us emotionally and physically. We had someone, and I felt so bad for her this week, actually contact us, and she had a heart attack as a result of the toxic work environment she was in. Now, luckily, we do not hear that extreme of situations, but just please know you're not alone, and we understand how difficult this can be. So it is really important to think of this or consider the satisfaction and fit in the long run while you're working on that stability as well. And the good news is that you can find that sense of fulfillment and direction. Does it happen overnight? No, it takes time. It takes thought and being proactive and work. And sometimes people need to just find something in the meantime that is a good enough fit, but pays their bills while they start to look for something that would be better in the long run. And that's okay. Bridge jobs are a thing and they serve a purpose. Our clients love their jobs, and this is part of why we enjoy what we do so much. So one of the things that I wanted to share first, when you're thinking about a job that you love in 2026 and beyond, is we do want you to have the right perspective. So I'll share just a little bit about this from this next slide here, is that we are not sitting here saying your next job or any job is going to be perfect every single second of the day. There are always things that we have to compromise on, at least to a certain extent. It's not going to be perfection. And we are not saying that by being Pollyanna or saying, oh, wave a magic wand and everything's great, right? I will tell you that most of our clients, they do feel like in some way, shape, or form, they may have to compromise on some things. There may be, for example, certain coworkers that aren't quite your favorite, or maybe something about your work environment, or maybe a task that you're like, if I didn't have to perform this, it would be a little bit better. But what we are saying is that it is possible. Two things. Number one, it's possible for the good stuff about what you do to so far outweigh the things that you may not like as much that you barely notice them and you can totally deal with them. And that's what we're going for. And the second thing to say is that when you are choosing where you are compromising, when you are a choice, you are going to feel so much more satisfied. So just know that this is about picking and choosing and being smart about your choices. Not that it's going to be perfect all the time, but you can get, I promise you, so much closer to the perfection than you ever thought possible. That's what our clients tell us all of the time. So one of the things that we want you to do to find a job you love in the next year is to get as clear as possible about your direction. You need to know the different types of jobs that you're targeting. And two things that I want you to think about. Number one, on the left-hand side, to write down for yourself and start to think about, like, tonight after you go home from work or whatever, what's the biggest challenge for you in defining what you want from your next job or career path? What gets in the way? Is it fear? Is it you're not thinking as creatively as you could? Is it that you like see yourself in the job that you've done for so long, let's say, that it's hard for you to think outside the box? That's why we're here. We help you figure this out. And like I said, we can do a quick 30-minute session with you to help you brainstorm ideas, see what else is out there, and make sure that you're making the right choices, but also that you're casting your net wide enough too. The link to that is in the chat box. One of the first steps I would recommend to help you narrow down your ideas and brainstorm alternatives is to separate for yourself what has worked for you in your career so far and what hasn't worked, and create a list of those likes and dislikes, 2 columns on a page. Start to create what you want to have in your next step from those 2 lists, and really helpful to identify those themes. So what are the common themes that you're seeing, and how do those relate to, for example, our career model? The other thing that you want to think about when you're doing this exercise in the middle of this slide, which is what we're talking about now, is to identify like what may be just short-term dissatisfaction, like I was working with that one particular client or customer on that project and I didn't like that, but that was just short-term. So that you can start to identify and determine how dramatic of a change is it that you need to make. Because sometimes people don't have to make this huge dramatic change and go be a chef or something completely different than what we're doing or what they've been doing, which is what one of our clients said, who was a consultant in Chicago. She said, some days I think I need to be a chef. Sometimes that's needed, but sometimes it's not. So step number 1, and thinking about defining fulfillment, we like for people to start here, not because we don't want them to pay their bills or be unrealistic about things, but because when you think about or define fulfillment first, if you look at this slide, number 1, it's the most difficult to define. So usually this is where we need to help our clients the most. Number 2, though, why we like it first is it helps you think outside the box with more ideas. So what we do with our clients up front is say, okay, let's kind of spitball and throw spaghetti against the wall at the beginning, see what else is out there that you didn't even know existed, because there are so many things. Then we can narrow them down based on practical considerations, the salary, the work environment, all that other good stuff. So we want you to think about fulfillment first for these 3 reasons on this slide, because then you can say, okay, cool, using our model, got a bunch of ideas. Some of them are harebrained and crazy. They may not pay my bills, but because I put it on the list, it gave me another related idea that I wouldn't have thought of before. That's what happened to me when a long time ago, I was brainstorming ideas. I kept picking at this idea of education and psychology, etc. That's why and how I figured out about career coaching. The other reason, if you look at this slide, that fulfillment is important is it impacts all of the other pieces of the model. So with our model, this is our checklist that we use with clients to say, here are the things that you have to take into consideration in order to get into the right next job. You can't just say, for example, oh, I'm good at data analysis and this pays me well, so okay, I'll go take this job. If you don't consider work environment, your personality type, you're going to end up in the wrong fit and unhappy. So that fulfillment piece, it also impacts how we feel like in our personal lives too, because it's hard to kind of completely separate them. So the way to think about and define fulfillment to help you start to brainstorm some ideas using these is to identify what your values are. Your values are your guideposts to fulfillment. They're bigger than ethics and morals. They're not just those things. Those could be some of your values, but you want to think of them as bigger. They are a subconscious way that we are already in some cases making decisions, but we want our clients to be more intentional about aligning their life and career with their values, and we teach you how to do that. Now, how to define fulfillment and some of those values, you can write down and think about what were your childhood dreams? What are some of your current interests and passions? What are you drawn to outside of work, when you read, when you watch TV, etc.? Those can actually give you clues to your values. Now, the reason why there's a mermaid on this slide is when I was a kid growing up in Florida, I wanted to be a mermaid at Weeki Wachee. When I grew up, I realized maybe not the most practical thing. And also it wasn't as appealing to me, but there were clues to my values even in that childhood dream. Entertaining people while educating them. There's a little bit, or seemed like there was a little bit of an element of risk with swimming around, just with just an air hose, whatever. That's how it was. And there are values that are present for me today, actually as an adult, because your values are part of who you are as a person. And I incorporate those into what I do as a career coach. Now, some other ways to define fulfillment and kind of piggyback on the values idea is to journal about what success means to you. Dig underneath those passions, interests, and hobbies as an adult now, like we said, things that make you lose track of time. You can journal about or create a vision board about your ideal day at work and start to say, what are the qualities that I keep coming back to here? And we do a peak experience exercise with our clients to help them really hone down on their personal values versus their career values, because there is a difference. And think about a time in their life when they felt lit up, excited, running on all cylinders, great, to help them define their values. Now, with career and personal values, we help our clients sort through these and what the difference is between these can be honored in my personal life and these can be honored in my professional life. And one of the questions, though, that I want you to write down for today is to ask yourself, where do things currently stand professionally related to my career values? Has my past or is my current career path honoring it? And where do I need to make these changes? Okay. So finally, before we start to keep going with our next two steps, consider all of the pieces of our ideal career model. You'll get the slides, you can print this out and start to say, okay, where do I want to go for this next step? And sometimes thinking about where you've been and how it checks these boxes or not can actually be a good step to help you with clarity there. And it does help you start to think about your brand too. Some of the questions you want to ask yourself are, what are my transferable skills and how can I market those? What are the strengths that I want to leverage going forward? And really, really important on the right-hand side, what's the right work environment for me? Please do not miss any of these pieces. I can't tell you how many times clients come to us and they discover, oh, well, I'm actually in the right job in a lot of ways, but it's the work environment that's a problem for me. That's not always the case for everyone, but you can't miss any of the pieces. If you've attended one of our webinars before, we always, just as a reminder, offer a free consult, quick call to talk with me about our coaching services and find out if it's the right fit for you. We give a discount for alumni and also people who attend these webinars. So I put in there the packages that are usually the best fit for webinar attendees like today. And there's a coupon code in there that you can actually use on that slide. If you would like to set up a free consult with me just to talk about our services in the first place before signing up and figure out what's the best fit, is there something different? You can do so using that QR code on the slide. And I also just put a link to our complimentary consult in there. You can schedule that with me as an alternative to signing up online with the code. So let's talk about number 2 and brainstorming and how to see what else is out there. There's no, unfortunately, one website that has every single job in the entire planet. But there are websites that you can use and tools you can use to kind of see what else is possible for you. So use your previous tools for exploring different ideas, but also consider our process as well, where you put some keywords that into like general search sites like Google, Bing, but also AI as well. 2, we want you to use career brainstorming sites, and we give those to our clients when they do a session with us, because there are websites out there in addition to AI that can help, that are databases or banks of career ideas. And then use those same keywords and plug those into job boards to see what else is out there as well. So you can use this 3-step process. And by the way, we recommend going in this order of the process. We were working with a client on this last week, because you start broad. It's like a funnel. You start broad at the top with those general ideas to make sure you're casting your net wide enough. Then you start to look at the career brainstorming websites and start to narrow down the funnel with job boards and what is actually out there. Okay. And you need to be good at knowing what to ask ChatGPT, et cetera. And this is what we work with our clients on, so that they understand this is the way I need to ask it in order to get the information that I want. The second thing, or as you're conducting your research, I should say, is it's really important to stay organized. Use AI tools or Excel to track your research, because we don't want you to get lost in the internet. We like for our clients to copy and paste into Excel or whatever works for you the pages that you want to revisit. Because if you start to read and then click, 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 you all know how that goes. We kind of get lost. So make sure that you're staying really organized with your research so that you don't get overwhelmed and kind of lost in the internet, okay? And like we said a moment ago, we do recommend going in this order. Now let's talk about keywords. They can come from your strengths. They can come from your interests, your values, your skills. Those are different ways that you can kind of see, or keywords that you can pull from to see what else is out there, okay? In order to cast a wide enough net, you want to ask, like, tell me careers in, this specific keyword, education, data analysis, whatever it is that's appealing to you and that you're good at. And the reason why we have you look at the career brainstorming sites is because the keywords will help you start to see what's practical, begin to make it real, and what those requirements are and those salary ranges to help you narrow down based on practical considerations like we were talking about before, okay? Just as a quick side note, we have 2 boot camps coming up in January. If you like working in a group, one is for people who already know their direction, solely for job search. I know what I want. I need to go make it happen. You can use the QR code to learn more about that. And I will put the link in the chat box right now. We also have a boot camp for people who need career ideas and need to figure out their direction first. And I'll mention that in just a moment. If any of this gets lost in the shuffle, you can email me. You can respond to any of the emails that we have sent to you, and I'll send you this information. Feel free to ask. And step number 4 with your research, remember, is job boards. And this is where you start to say, okay, this is what's actually out there. What resonates with me? What doesn't resonate with me? And that helps you begin to make it a little bit more real and narrow down your choices a little bit more. Now, step number 3 to finding a job you love is making sure that all of your materials are up to date. We spend hours and full boot camps on these topics. So we'll give you some quick broad strokes for today. Your resume and LinkedIn are going to be critical, okay? And you want to make sure that everything is up to date. There's a good checklist to help you start here on this slide. Get those recommendations. Make sure that you have a branded banner behind your headshot. Really make sure that you've search engine optimized all of your materials, that you've got the right keywords in there. In LinkedIn, because people will find you that way, as well as on your resume, because that's how you get past those scanning systems. And please remember, when you're branding yourself, you want to incorporate your soft skills as well, those personality traits, as well as those hard skills that we're referencing here on this slide. And what we mean by branding is on the next 2 slides here. This one, when I land on your resume, I want to know exactly who you are and what some of the things that you are known for, with the keywords here at the bottom. Okay, not at the bottom, sorry, at the top there on the heading. And when I land on your LinkedIn, I want to know exactly who you are, what you bring to the table, what type of job you're going for, etc. What you're known for. And this is also what we do to help our clients with this. We have resume templates that we sell on our website. That's in the chat box too. We also have a LinkedIn guide that has LinkedIn examples that you can work from, but also a lot of really good tips for your profile, but also how to use LinkedIn effectively as well. As part of getting your brand ready to go, the first thing, or actually right after you get your brand and all of your materials ready to go, I should say, jobs are still found through networking. This is the most important part. I know you've heard it ad nauseum and you're probably like, I'm so tired of hearing that. Or you might be saying, it's not my favorite thing to do. Me too. I totally understand and I get it. But especially with the market, the way it is today, and we have clients that can tell you this, they'll be like, you know what? You told me to reach out to and talk to as many people as possible. That's what I've been doing. And that's how I figured it out. So these are different places listed on this slide where you can look for those networking connections and those opportunities to chat with people. But the more people you talk to, the better off you're going to be. Will the market change later on next year? It could. I do think that it will get a little bit better as just things start to settle down, fingers crossed. But at least for a while longer now, you are going to need to do more or put more effort into your job search than you have in the past. It's just not as easy. It doesn't mean there aren't jobs out there. There are. We've had 5 clients in the last month get new jobs. So it is possible. You just have to do more than you did in the past, which is unfortunate, just kind of the way it is. And finally, before we start to write down your action steps, and I want you to get out your pen and paper, or your computer or whatever, to write down one thing that you will do in the next week here. This is our other boot camp. So 2 different boot camps. The one job search one was before. The link is in the chat. This is for people who need to figure out, gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do next. And I need to brainstorm ideas. I need to see what else is out there. It's a 4-session series. The job search series is 3 sessions. The information is in the chat box and also on the QR code there. These are both boot camps are live. They are with me versus one of our coaches. We include lots of really good materials, templates, and examples with those. And they are live sessions where you get a chance to ask questions each time we have a session. And you get a discount on individual coaching if you feel like you need to do that afterwards. So please go ahead. And before we hop off today, let's take a moment to write down one action step for this next week that you will take. It could be, I need to update my resume. It could be, I need to activate my network. It could be, ooh, I need to go to the very beginning and say, what are the types of jobs? Am I seeing what else is really out there for me? And am I casting my net wide enough for my search? Happy to schedule a consult with you if you'd like to learn more about our services. And we want you, it shouldn't say succeed during your meeting. I apologize. This should say succeed in your career path next year. We love what we do. I hope today was helpful for you as a starting point. And I would be happy to answer any questions about anything that we do, as well as discounts for alumni, etc. We do have another webinar coming up. If you are on our email list, you will already find out about that automatically. New Year, New Career will be January 27th at 12 Eastern Time. Thank you so much for your time today, everyone. Again, remember to check your email for additional information from today, the recording and the slides, etc.